time once again, and for the first time ever at the Sportsplex at Matthews in Matthews, North Carolina, there is playoff USL Championship Soccer with the Charlotte Independents and the Charleston Battery. And tonight's game is presented by Novant Health. We're saluting all of the survivors of breast cancer tonight. Go to the Independent's social media channels to check out how @Novant Health is working hard to improve access to care and reduce breast cancer mortality through the use of their mobile mammography units in underserved communities. Alongside two-time FA Cup winner Gary Bailey, I'm Spencer Siegel. We're happy to have you along tonight. Take a look at the USL Championship bracket, Gary. You see Charlotte and Charleston. On the bottom right-hand portion of your screen, winner gets the winner of Tampa Bay Birmingham, which is already kicked off.
Oh, there's so much going on, isn't there, at the moment? Lucidia 1-up against Pittsburgh, Tampa 1-up. I mean, this is a really exciting time of the season when, yeah, your season can go on to great things or it can just end right here.
So Charlotte started the season with 2 losses and 3 draws, and they finished so strong. Brandon Miller, a big reason for that. Dane Kelly, more goals than anybody else in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Brandon Miller, absolutely brilliant. And Dane Kelly, 3rd overall in the US and 4th overall with shots. So he's been a superstar this season.
It was a similar story in terms of a slow start for Charleston. They came on really strong in the second half of the season. And this, under Mike Anhauser, is their 13th consecutive playoff appearance.
How incredible is that? Absolutely brilliant. And Zico Lewis has been a star player for them. 6 goals and 2 assists, and 4 of those goals, by the way, have been game-winning goals.
We talked about Dane Kelly already. 11 goals, most in the East. He's got a hat trick this year. He's also 1 goal shy of tying the record for the most playoff goals in USL Championship history. He just does so much for this team.
He's brilliant. He's quick, he's sharp, he's got good feet both sides, and he's got that instinct. He just knows where the goal is, and you've given all those wonderful stats about how good he is. He's the man that Charleston Battery will have to watch tonight.
Well, Charlotte also needs to look out for this man, Zico Lewis, the Bermudan. He has been all over the pitch. He's distributing and he's scoring goals.
Scoring fantastic goals, and as we mentioned, 6 goals and 2 assists, and game-winning goals as well. To be fair, we've got 2 wonderful strikers at either end of the pitch. Have a look at this. Cuts back on his left, sticks it past the keeper. Wonderful finisher. Both instinctive finishers and both top-class finishes.
It's the first ever playoff game at the Sportsplex at Matthews. There will be 50 fans in attendance. It's a big-time matchup. You don't want to miss it. Stick around. Kickoff coming up next.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I love Chick-fil-A nuggets because the flavor is unparalleled. As soon as you bite into them, you're in a happy place. The seasoning is perfect.
Hey, I'm Giovanni, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A nuggets is that they're perfectly breaded. There's just that right amount of crisp. I don't know what they're doing in the kitchen, but it's pure magic.
delayed for an hour by some rain in the area, but all systems go for this Eastern Conference quarterfinal, and it's time to take a look at our starting lineups presented by Adidas. First, the Charlotte Independents, Gary Bailey, are led by a team that's pretty much been the same squad all year, but no Aaron Mond in the 18, went down with an injury.
Yes, Joel Johnson's filled in for him. That is the only change to the team that won 1-0 at North Carolina last time out. And it's a team that's in form, that's solid, that work together, that understand each other. They're comfortable in that 4-4-2 formation.
Charleston, on the other hand, have been led by a couple of guys at the top. Stavros Zarakostas has been great since Romario Pigot's season came to an end with an unfortunate injury himself.
Hasn't he been absolutely brilliant, Zarakostas? A couple of golassos, 2 goals last time out. This is the identical team that played against Miami FC 2 games ago. They did change them last time out, but that is their strongest 11.
We are just minutes from kickoff, and as you can tell, the scene at the Sportsplex at Matthews is a little bit different than what a normal playoff setting would be. As we're ready for kickoff, there are 50 fans in attendance tonight. More on that later. It's Charlotte in the blue, and it's Charleston in their white and gold tonight. Players will once again take a knee to unite and show that there is no place for racism in our game or in our world.
This should be fun. No director.
Thank you.
Charlotte and Charleston ready to go. No. Under some hazy conditions tonight. Our official waiting word, Lucas Spalla tonight. As soon as he gets the word, we will be good to go. It's the Eastern Conference quarterfinal, and it's underway between Charlotte and Charleston, the first home playoff game for Charlotte in their franchise's history. Gary, as we get this one going tonight, it's wet, rainy. The ball is going to slide around, as you see it already has, and it's win or go home.
It certainly is, and makes it more difficult with this weather. We've been watching the rain coming down solidly for a few hours. There's a lot of water on that pitch, and you've got to be careful with your tackles and your passes, as we've just seen. It's a case of limiting the number of errors. It just takes one mistimed slide and you could be sent off, one missed pass and it could result in the only goal of the match. So yeah, it's very much about managing the conditions here tonight.
Out wide, there's space for Joel Johnson. One thing we are keeping our eye out for, Gary, is Charlotte's setup in terms of what their formation will end up looking like. They started this season with a back 4. They switched it to a back 3. It seemed to work really well for them, but the loss of Aaron Mond might force Mike Jeffrey's hand.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 3 with that being a fullback there. It could be 4. Either way, you never want to change your system. It always tests you losing players, especially one as good as Aaron Mond. But it is all part of the game. And you know, Charlotte have been amazing all season, as have Charleston Battery. It's why this is such a wonderful game tonight, potentially. They're two very good teams, not much to choose between them. They drew 1-1 when they faced each other here early in the season. I'm expecting something very close once again.
And that was the one and only matchup between these two sides. Rivals in rival states, separated by about a 3-hour car ride or bus ride. This is Cicero. Junior Eto gets the ball and allows Charlotte to break. Now Zico Lewis slips it past Lacroix into the path of Cicero, who goes down. It falls and rolls into the back of the goal. Charleston, 2 minutes into the game, have the goal from Niku Daly.
It's amazing, isn't it? We're just talking about the difficulties. Such a quick goal to get in such a crucial match. Zico Lewis with a wonderful ball to Cicero. Have a look here. Look at the ball. Cicero gets in position. He gets bumped over. He's appealing, and I think Clay Dimmick almost gets caught with the appeal, wondering is it a penalty or not. Doesn't see Niku Daly. Have a look here. Ball goes Clay Dimmick. Could he get to the ball? He's looking to see is it a penalty. Next thing, Niku Daly pops up, and it's 1-0 to the visitors.
It's the third fastest goal in USL playoff history. 2.5 minutes, which is only bested by Chris Cortez 2 years ago. That was 65 seconds, and Devin Sandoval last year scored 13 seconds into the game. And just like that, Charleston have the lead on the road.
Great stats, by the way, to come up with that on the fly. Well done.
Dane Kelly, he'll try to get it back. The former Charleston Battery member wins the free kick, and a chance for Charlotte to set up something from a set piece, which Charleston's Michael Anhauser was adamant about trying to avoid.
Yeah, he said he felt that Charlotte were bigger physically and would therefore be a danger at set pieces. But I think in these conditions, anything around your box is a danger now. You've just got to try and get the ball to the other end of the pitch. It's not about playing pretty soccer tonight. It's about managing some very, very testing situations.
There's no Aaron Mond to aim at this time, but as you said, Gary, big bodies in the box include Hugh Roberts, who stands at the top of the 18 at the moment. It's Armin and Ortiz who hover over the ball. Armin with his left boot. Let's take a look at tonight's keys to the game presented by Harris Teeter Fuel Points. Gary, you say that Charlotte needs to manage the pace and the movement of Charleston. Of course, Charleston needing to contain Dane Kelly, and neither of those two keys really change after the first goal was scored.
They certainly don't, and I think we've seen that the pace and movement of Charleston with that lovely ball through to Cicero that caused all the problems. So that's certainly what Charlotte will have to keep an eye on. And of course, Dane Kelly, what a player is. He's so dangerous one-on-ones, and that's what the coach was trying to say. Just be careful. If Dane Kelly gets on that ball, Mike Anhauser was saying we have to be super, super careful. I think there was a red card in the match when they played last, all because of Dane Kelly's running at the back four.
Ortiz slips in Johnson. He's got bodies to aim at. There's Kelly, and it was just too close that time to Joe Kuzminski, who has come on strong in the second half of the season after returning from a loan spell in Israel. He starts the break the other way, sends Daly on his way. Daly's cross is met by no one on the other end. Gives us a chance to look at tonight's injury report, brought to you by Novant Health. We'd like to thank all of the frontline workers that are helping our community at this time, especially those at our official healthcare provider, Novant Health. You see Mond, Piggott, and Mason went down with season-ending injuries. No Jay Bolt either for Charleston. And in a win-or-go-home scenario, it's next man up, get out there, and do what you can.
Yeah, and the thing about these two teams is that they've got good depth. They're able to bring players onto the team who can perform. And in that sense, they're very, very fortunate. Some such good players out there today. But already 1-0 down, Charlotte at home. It's going to be a battle against what I think is a very good Charleston Battery side, who, funny enough, have a better record. Although they finished second in their group, the record of wins is better than Charlotte. So head to head, they really should be at home, but that's not how the league, the sort of tables have worked out. So they've got themselves a tough away match here at Charlotte. But again, 1-0 up, tough conditions. It's going to be a tricky match for Charlotte Independence to get back into this game.
Charleston finishing second in Group H to Tampa Bay Rowdies. Having played one fewer game, Charleston only played 15 games because of a scheduled matchup against Loudoun that got canceled. Loudoun finished their season early. And that sent Charleston into a points per game final total. They finished 3 points back of Tampa Bay. So had they played that Loudoun game and won by more than 3 goals, they would have won the group. But there are so many ifs when it comes to that scenario. It's best to just play the hand you're dealt.
Well, I mean, just to prove how good Charleston Battery are, they gave Tampa their only defeat at home. This is such a good team. Just looking at some stats here for Charlotte, they haven't scored more than 1 goal in a match in their last 4 games. And they're going to have to score more than 1 to win this, unless they want to go to penalties. So it's a big challenge here for Charlotte at home to beat that man there, Joe Kuzminski. There's those conditions. Spence, a lot of water's come down that we've seen, and it's still coming down. It just makes it so tricky for the players.
See the 50 fans in the background there in attendance tonight. Like Jeffries said, hopefully they can make the noise of 5,000. Johnson is brought down, fouled. It is Zaracostas who surrenders the free kick. The 50 fans who got in tonight each contributed $100 towards the charitable cause McKenna Woodhead, who the Charlotte Independents try to raise money for each year. A 16-year-old who was permanently paralyzed from the chest down following a water sport accident. Her family certainly grateful of what Charlotte does. McKenna, who played local youth soccer in the area. Armin alone, curls it towards the back post. Roberts tried to get up, and he did so, also fouling a member of the Battery in the process.
Good defending there by the Battery. This is where they have to really be on their toes, getting up there, and that's Leland Archer doing the business, and that's what it's all about. And you made a very good point. This is the playoffs. It's winner go through, loser go home, and you've got no chance to catch up next week or make up the points. It's all about how you manage this game tonight, and every one of these players on both sides will be willing to put their body on the line to win it. That's how important this match is. So good defending there from Leland Archer.
Eto does well to hold the ball up. Although they don't do it like this across the pond, Gary, you're very familiar with this format. You won the FA Cup 2 times with Manchester United. You know the single elimination scenario that lies ahead of all 16 teams entering tonight's playoff matchup. It's a different mindset compared to what you're used to when you're just playing to win and play out a season.
Absolutely, and it comes down to not making mistakes. You want to just avoid giving the other team any opportunities. because you know it's a one-off. You know, anything could happen on the day. They always say defense wins championship. Well, defense sometimes wins knockout games as well. And with that in mind, the Battery defense has conceded an impressive 6 goals in its last 6 games. Only concede 1 per game on average. So again, it just shows you how difficult it's going to be now for Charlotte to get themselves back in the match. They don't score more than 1, and the Battery don't concede that many. So it's all up to the team in blue to turn things around. But you've got to play that. You've got to play the situation, play the conditions, and just get those goals.
Crawford's cross dropped for Sachero for a moment. Now Martinez will take it away. You see how easily Charleston is able to get set defensively. Ortiz up the right flank. Kelly out wide. Taken away by Patterson. Well done. Fans, tickets for the 2021 season at our new home at Veterans Memorial Stadium are on sale. Go to charlotteindependence.com to lock in great seats at this beautiful new stadium that is set for next year. We thought perhaps that Charlotte had played their final game here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, and fortuitous turns of events over the final week of the season allowed them a home game. They got a late winner, Valentin Sabella, who scored against North Carolina, and Birmingham lost. Charleston nearly coming away, but Daly turned it over.
You can see a lot of players slipping, and a lot of, you can see water popping up when they do pass the ball. So again, I think those watching have to bear in mind these are very difficult circumstances, and that's why players are going to occasionally miss pass the ball. Just to give the Charlotte Independence fans some encouragement, because I've given all the stats that seem to favor Charleston.
Johnson to the middle, Ortiz in space, it takes a deflection and it rings off the post. That could have been the chance here in the first half for Charlotte. It is a corner kick.
I'm just wondering if Kuzminski got a hand to that. It came very, very quickly from Ortiz. Let's have a look as it comes in. Ortiz is saying, give me the ball, give me the ball. He gets it, turns, shoots, deflection, straight off the post from a deflection. How close is that?
Ray Ortiz, who scored the goal of the month in August, nearly leveled the game 15 minutes in. Now he'll send it towards the back post. Headed back in, and easy for Kuzminski.
That was a bit of a let-off there for Charleston Battery. The post coming to their aid. And I was about to say just before that the good news for Charlotte Independence fans is they'd always struggled against North Carolina. Well, this season they've won all 4 games in the regular season. So maybe it is their year, and I'm sure that's what all the Charlotte Independence fans are hoping for their team, the Jacks, as they're known. Maybe things will still work out, but they're 1-0 down as it stands.
See just how wet it is. You've seen the ball check up a couple of times, which makes it extremely difficult to read. Looking for Daly over the top. Johnson intervenes, but the flag went up. Mentioned earlier, Gary, these two teams played to a 1-1 draw here at the Sportsplex in early August. Dane Kelly scored first. Aaron Maughan's own goal 4 minutes later tied the game at 1. Both of those goals came in the first half. And then, as you said, Renico Clark was sent off in the second half. Dane Kelly was away on what was an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Clark held him up, was shown the red card, and Charleston saw the draw out down to 10 men.
That's what makes Charlotte such a dangerous team. Is so far, if you're neutral, you're looking at this probably saying, hey, Charleston Battery look a better side, they look well organized, they're 1-0 up. But Dane Kelly can turn this match in an instant. 11 goals in 15 appearances this season. And that's what Charleston Battery have to be careful of. This man can pop up at any moment, especially in these treacherous conditions. So this is going to be an open, exciting game, and one I think is going to give us a lot of pleasure as this match goes on.
The series history between these sides favors Charleston. 8 wins to 2 losses and 6 draws, and it's really been Charleston's matchup over the last 4 or 5 years. Charlotte have not won a game against Charleston in their last 11 meetings, going all the way back to April of 2016. This is, however, their first playoff meeting.
And it's the first time at home, am I correct? Out of 3 appearances in the playoffs for
That's
Charlotte?
right. Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll feel that's a little bit of positive news to be playing at home. I think as a player, you just, those who are superstitious will look at every little thing and say, hey, we're at home for the first time. We beat North Carolina 4 times. Whatever the positives are, you try and take them away with you.
Look out, Zarakostas on his left, blocked by Johnson. Now Kelly. Taken by Crawford. Out wide it goes Patterson towards the back post. Drops to Gudula. Still alive for Charleston. Charlotte had come away with it for a moment, but Armin looks like he got a forearm to it.
By the way, how was that cross from Patterson? Whipped into that Charlotte box, causing all sorts of problems. They look so sharp. Charleston Battery, we've seen them over the last 5 or 6 weeks get better and better. And with Zico Lewis and Zarakostas, who got 2 goals last time out against Tampa, Cicero, and the speed of Nicky Daly, they can threaten you from almost everywhere, can the Battery. So tough evening ahead for the Independence defense.
Set piece opportunity for the Battery. Crawford's service towards the back post. Miller with a punch and a half clearance.
It was a good punch in the end. I thought he was struggling to get there, but credit to him. And again, if Independence fans want something positive.
Patterson again. And it slowly and painstakingly dribbles across the face of goal.
Losing possession again, Charlotte. They got it back. I was going to say about Brandon Miller, 61 saves, #1 in the USL. So they have themselves a fine goalkeeper at the back. Do the Jacks, and that's certainly going to be needed tonight.
He's played every minute this season, Brandon Miller. One of 4 Independence players who have not taken a rest, as Martinez does not agree with that call. Fouls Zarakostas. Lucas Spalla, our referee. Winner of this game takes on the winner of Tampa Bay and Birmingham. And they're at halftime that game. It's 2-0 Rowdies.
Wow.
Doherty and Guenzati.
Birmingham is a good team, so for Tampa to be 2-0 up, well, they're both very good teams. But Charleston Battery beat Tampa away, which just shows you how good Charleston are as well. But I think we've reached the stage when you get to the playoffs, every one of them is a good team. It's really how high you can raise your level on the day, and Charleston so far look comfortable and maybe the slightly sharper of the 2 teams.
Eto had a chance to slip in Ortiz. Talked to both of these coaches, Coach Anhauser and Coach Jeffries, this week. They both, after the boilerplate response of we're just focused on tonight. Both said that they want to see Birmingham in the second round as Ortiz's cross comes in. It falls for Enzo Martinez, and it was always wide. Now, the reason, though, that they wanted Birmingham was because it would afford either of these two teams a home game in the second round. If Tampa Bay holds on to their 2-0 lead, the winner of tonight's game will have to go to Al Lang Stadium.
It's a pity that's wide from Martinez. He's normally a lot more accurate with his striking, and in these conditions, anything that skips off the grass is going to cause the goalkeeper a few problems.
Daly scoots around Roberts. Got a whole host of blue jerseys that he has to deal with. It somehow falls to Zarakostas, and Miller shuns it wide. Not too far off, though. Charleston threatening once again in the first half.
We just mentioned Brandon Miller with the most saves in the USL, and it's not always a good thing when you're having to make these sort of saves as a goalkeeper. Some poor defending at the back there, got to be said, by Joel Johnson. And as a keeper, you want to make 1 or 2 good saves, not a whole bunch of them, because it means that you're a little bit porous in defense. But once again, comes up big, does Brandon Miller.
Zico Lewis in with his left foot. Miller leaves it, falls for Kelly, who has time to put it on a tee. In comes a sliding Hawkinson. Eto tripped up.
Some slow defending on the edge of the box there. Took a while to get the defense out and close that shot down, but they did it in the end with a sliding tackle. And once again, you'll be careful of sliding tackles here, because if you're a second late, you're going to take someone's legs, and then who knows what card you get given. So again, managing conditions, it's got to be uppermost in all the players' minds.
Armin sees the run out wide of Joel Johnson. His cross cleared away by Jared Van Schaik. Charleston captain. He's captain of this side 11 of the team's 15 games.
Another set piece, another opportunity to get a ball in and cause a few problems.
Mike Anhauser said it was actually good for us to concede goals those last 2 games, talking about the 4-3 loss to Miami, the goal conceded in the 2-1 win against Tampa Bay. He said, we've talked about getting ready for dangerous Charlotte service just like this, because those are the types of plays that can win or lose you games in the playoffs. Armin. And before Roberts even had a chance to jump, Lucas Spalla spotted a foul.
He's talking with the managers, and we had a lovely chat with them both, but Mike Jeffries picking out a particular player of Charleston Battery that he felt they had to keep an eye on more than anyone else, and that's Robbie Crawford, a man who comes from Glasgow Rangers. And he's the guy who makes things tick for the Battery in midfield and has been in great form recent games. And Mike Jeffries feels that they really have to stop him from dominating this match. So we'll keep an eye on how that goes in midfield.
Crawford does play more or less a traditional 6. Holds the ball up a lot, but his service has been great. He had taken 15 shots this year prior to scoring his first goal in that Miami loss. It's turned over, and Dane Kelly has a chance to run. In comes a sliding Robbie Crawford on cue to break it up.
A good tackle once again. You've got to get those right, but he does. He's so good at building out from the back, Robbie Crawford. He can destroy, as we've just seen. He can put the through balls that can cause problems. It's going to be a tough refereeing evening for Lucas Spalla, trying to figure out whether tackles are as a result of the conditions or with an intent to hurt, and to differentiate between the two.
He's assisted tonight by Walt Heatherly and Chris Canales, the ARs, and our fourth official, Josh Encarnacion. Armin's delivery. Here to Johnson. Ortiz got that one wrong.
He did, didn't he? Just needed to have a little bit of quality to get that in the box. There were plenty of blue shirts waiting for the service. Not saying it's easy in those conditions and you're being closed down, but Ortiz is such a good player. I would have expected him to be able to pull that off, but not on this occasion. I think the players probably by now are used to the conditions. They've figured out where the ball sticks down the side. There's a lot of puddles. Goalkeepers have more and more comfortable with the ball skipping off the turf, off the grass. So now it's really a case of controlling the match, trying to get possession in the midfield and domination.
Sweet feet from Armin. He's still going. Picks his head up. Out wide for Hawkinson. Service to the back post. Blocked by Martinez. Patterson will let that one calmly roll out for a goal kick.
Once again, good defending by Charleston Battery on these aerial balls. That time it was AJ Patterson winning the header. And we thought beforehand that Charlotte, being slightly bigger and physically stronger, might cause them problems, but so far the Battery have dealt really well with everything that's come into them in the air.
Fans since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Hawkinson was held into a straitjacket.
Lots of arguments, lots of pressure on the referees. And Lucas Sparta just getting on with the job, having a little word here. Don't kick the ball away, I think would be the word.
He has not refereed a Charleston match this year. He did head the Charlotte opener back in March before the restart, but that was the only game he's seen this Independence side in this position. A lot of space between the two lines for Charleston. Martinez battling with Kelly. Johnson with space. Picks out Hawkinson. Hawkinson's head is just wide. But a good link up between Johnson and Hawkinson nearly found Charlotte their opener.
Yeah, good cross. He's annoyed with himself. The header was solid. It just obviously the direction wasn't ideal. Gets up. He hasn't got anybody on his shoulder, nobody pushing him. So really, without that pressure, he's at least got to hit the target. Even if you head it down into the grass, so it skips off, it makes it more difficult for the keeper. So good opportunity there for Hawkinson and not taken.
Takes us to our first half hydration break, and it gives us a chance to remind you that the Novant Health Weizsäcker Cancer Institute opens next month. It has an infusion center on the top floor of the building, surrounded by glass walls that offer a view of Charlotte's skyline. Also available will be on-site integrative treatments such as acupuncture, massage, and other therapies that help patients fight cancer. Go to the Independence social channels to find out more about this cutting-edge cancer center. A lot going on in downtown Charlotte these days. There's been so much excitement surrounding Charlotte's newest stadium as they will move into American Legion Memorial Stadium, a $32 million city-approved renovation that broke ground last fall and will be ready for next spring. It's been a 5-year project. Mike Jeffries talks about how excited everybody is for it, something that the ownership has pushed for the years. being downtown with an understated and lovely city of Charlotte.
Oh, there's work for Charlotte to do, isn't there? 1-0 down at home. And again, just talking about the conditions and mistakes, Enzo Martinez saying these are the types of games where every mistake is magnified. Every mistake you make has a greater effect, and the opposing team can punish you for it. So again, the players themselves very well aware that they don't want to make mistakes, especially in these tough conditions. And that's what's going through your mind. You know, you want to be creative, you want to take chances. At the same time, you don't want to do anything silly, and that puts a lot of tension onto the players. So again, if you're watching, you can understand why they might be a bit tentative. Oh, there's one of those risky passes in these conditions.
Yeah, you never know, that ball might check up.
Exactly. You just don't want to be doing that. You want to just look down the line and go forward. Okay, England's a lot wetter, but on a day like today, yeah, you know, our mantra was just get the ball down the line into the other pitch, other half of the pitch rather.
It's a good ball over the top. Down goes Johnson, who screams in agony as he was bumped. Does win the free kick.
It's a good ball into the box, though, isn't it? Once again, right into the heart, and Joel Johnson doing well to eventually get the free kick. But it's those sort of balls that are going to cause all sorts of problems for Charlotte if they don't stop them, they don't deal with them.
Eto wide for Dimmick, who stepped in for the injured Mond tonight. Roberts has been the anchor man this season. Armin out wide, Duke Lacroix. Lacroix lost it. It's times like this, down a goal for Charlotte, that they'd love to use the home field to their advantage. They'd love to have a crowd tonight that packs the stands for the first ever game in the playoffs here in Charlotte. Mike Jeffries said earlier this week, first off, we wish you were here with us. But secondly, be proud of this group. Be proud we were able to win a very tough group. Hopefully you can support us from afar, but we hope to be back with you all in the near future.
He was pumped up, wasn't he, Mike Jeffries, when they beat North Carolina at the end to finish top. He knew what a great achievement that was.
Well placed out wide. Cross looking for Daly. Van Schaik will recycle it back to Kuzminski. Archer with room to roam. And then he gives it away. Eto gets a second chance. Armin looking for Kelly. Just too much on it.
Kuzminski reading that well, and never easy, because how does the ball land? Does it land in a puddle and stop? Does it land on some water and skip through? So those sort of balls played through the middle in these conditions are worth doing more and more of, because it's hard as a goalkeeper to know and to read them.
Certainly worth a chance, especially considering Dane Kelly has not had much involvement in the first half.
Yeah, very good point. And it doesn't matter how you win these games. You don't have to win them pretty. You just got to win them and get through.
Daly's first touch took him a little bit further than he wanted to go, but he stuck with it. And he was not alert as Lewis tried to feed it right back to him. Lacroix gives it away. Daly was in an offside position. And it rolls out for a goal kick.
Well, he's still young, Nick Udale. He's only 19 years of age. He's got 6 goals in 5 appearances for the Jamaican under-21 side. So really great young player there, but you can also see that he's still learning the game, still figuring out where he has to be, but he's got wonderful pace and good goal-scoring ability.
Independence fans, if you're looking for a place for your kids to play soccer, the Charlotte Independence Soccer Club has entry-level rec programs all the way to nationally competitive programs. Visit independencesoccer.club for all the information. Martinez. Lacroix. Looking to lob it in for Kelly. It falls for Hawkinson. Back onto his left foot. Spilled by Kuzminski, and Kelly commits the foul.
Good shot from Hawkinson. Causes all sorts of problems there, and difficult for Kuzminski to hold on to it. Have a look, ball. That's a very poor clearance, isn't it? Hawkinson doing well just to open up the gap. Kuzminski maybe could have done better. He's lucky that he had AJ Patterson right there to clear it all up, because if it had been a striker, that would have been 1-1. So goalkeeper we're feeling maybe should have held on to it, but credit to Hawkinson. That's twice now that he's had an attempt on goal. Hasn't got through yet, but positive for Charlotte Independence.
23-year-old Hawkinson from Maple Grove, Minnesota, scored 3 goals this season, all against Memphis. He had the perfect hat trick. He scored 1 with his left foot, 1 with his right, 1 with a header, albeit in different games. Zaracostas will have to surrender the ball at some point.
You haven't seen much of Zaracostas. I mean, 2 wonderful goals last time out against Tampa Bay Rowdies, by the way. Away from home, cutting in from the left side and coming in, and so he could cause problems yet.
Beautiful slip pass from Martinez. Johnson's cross deflected.
So just talking about Zaracosta and what wonderful form, and he scored an unbelievable goal against Miami FC. A couple of golazos, so you want to try and get him on the ball as much as possible if you're Charleston.
He was looking for help. He made most of the run. Sends Lewis out wide. Cross cleared by Roberts. Eto can start the break. Still Junior Eto. Ball glued to the feet of Dane Kelly, and Ortiz wins the free kick. Sooner or later, these set pieces may come back to bite Charleston.
Yep, they could very well do, and if they don't, only Charlotte have only got themselves to blame. You get enough efforts to put that ball, or opportunities to put that ball in the box, you've got to get something from it eventually. So get the big boys in. Joel Johnson, Hugh Roberts, get them all up, and Dane Kelly, got to get him on the ball as well. He's dangerous, and he's been very much on the periphery so far. AJ Patterson claims his innocence, and of course Roy Ortiz does everything he can to, Ray Ortiz, to persuade the referee it was a bad tackle.
This is a situation historically this season where Aaron Mond would be part of the equation. Hugh Roberts has been involved as well, the other center back for Charlotte.
They've got enough players who can score. Even Eto, they can get on the end of things.
Harmon will have a crack at goal. Kuzminski can only parry it wide, and it's out for a corner kick, which is presented by Chick-fil-A.
Goalkeeper doing well. If ever you're not sure, you've got to push it away from trouble, which is exactly what Kuzminski does. Doesn't drop it down for a forward to follow up and score, pushes it out for a corner. Everyone gets set up, gets marked up, and then you're ready for the set piece.
Correction taken by forward Armin.
Armin spears it wide. Martinez He'll give it a try. It takes a deflection, and it flicks over the bar. I think Kuzminski had it covered, but it does go out for another corner, and Charlotte starting to turn the screw here in the waning stages of the first half.
Yeah, it's worth the shot. I mean, those sort of deflections as a goalkeeper, if you're going the wrong way, it's often difficult to come back. And you never know, if that flies in the back of the net, it's a whole different game.
Armin again. Nobody on the back post. Reminder, fans, we've got great deals on fan gear right now at charlotteindependence.com. Jerseys, hats, t-shirts, scarves, masks. We've got everything an Independence fan would want to show your colors.
You mentioned Charlotte have been pushing, and they certainly have. The last three highlights have been that Martinez shot that's deflected, and then there's two efforts from Harkinson. So I think Joe Kuzminski, they'll be thinking to himself, let's just get to half-time with a clean sheet. Let's just calm it all down and get ourselves reorganized, because Charlotte certainly have had the better of the last 10 minutes or so.
Charleston's goal coming at the 2-minute and 29-second mark from Niku Daly, assisted by Sachero. It's the third fastest playoff goal in USL Championship history. It really came out of more or less nothing. Look out, here's Kelly. Tried to turn away from it. Archer was wise. Hawkinson. Ortiz, cut out by Van Schaik. Zaracostas was tripped up. So too was Kelly, and finally the whistle is blown.
Getting a little bit chippy. There's a few little bumps and bruises there. Referee so far doesn't see the need for yellow cards or anything. You can see, talking about getting chippy, players trying to irritate each other, trying to wind each other up. Etu's saying he's got every right to see if Niku Daly's fine. I think it's Van Schaik saying, no, you don't come near my player, my teammate. So it's just all part of winding each other up. But I think as the match goes on, and bearing in mind this is a knockout game, we're going to see tempers start to flare in these tricky conditions. That could lead to anything there. Yeah, there's just proof of that tackle by Junior Etu.
Enzo Martinez trying to be peacemaker for once. Trying to settle his side down, who are down a goal. He's captained this team every game this year.
Referee just having a word with them both and saying, hey, cut this out, and especially to Jared Van Schaik, who he was just getting in Junior Eto's face. It's what you do in matches, you try and wind people up, and it was perhaps unnecessary, but it's all part of the game that you have to manage, and that's why I say getting too chippy in the second half is something both sides will have to look out for.
But you never fanned the flames when you played, right?
I was a goalkeeper. I was too far from all the action. As a goalkeeper, you've got to do the opposite. You cannot get involved, because anything you do wrong becomes a penalty. So you just shut your mouth, you take all the hits and get on with it. But in the middle of the park, that's where the niggles and the needling starts, and it's all part of the professional game. You've got to learn to manage it.
Ironic that the position in keeper that has to stand in front and try and deflect fizzing balls coming at your face, that instead you have to be the one that maintains sanity and calm. Patterson's low cross cut out by Dimmick.
Well, I wouldn't mix the word sanity with goalkeepers too much, because they're generally considered the crazy ones. But by the way, there's a good goalkeeper for you, Brandon Miller. What a season he has had. Top number of saves in the entire USL, and he's going to be needed tonight because they can't afford to let a second one in, I would think, Charlotte. It's going to be a tight game either way. And they've come back the last 10 minutes. They've looked a lot better, the home side. Felt the battery had the better of the early part of the first half, and Charlotte maybe the latter part. So honors even in terms of that. But what's most important is the one goal that the Battery have.
Independence playing with their backs to the wall, but here comes Hawkinson, who can be slipped in. Kuzminski does well to come off of his line.
Yeah, good decision from Kuzminski. He seemed to hesitate for a second, then he made his mind up, came big and strong, brave, got the ball. Now he's got to calm it all down, take his team into halftime.
We will have plenty for you at halftime. Scores from around the rest of the USL playoffs on this quarterfinal night. Stats and first half highlights from this one. We have gone past the allotted 2 minutes. That will do it for the first half. Quick thoughts, Gary, as we head into the locker room for both sides.
Look, it's very, very close. You just fancy that Battery have the goal as we watch Junior Etu leave the pitch, that they're a little bit more in control because of that. Charlotte are going to have to come out against them second half and they'll be vulnerable to the counter. But, oh, it's all set up for a wonderful and exciting second half.
Plenty coming your way. Halftime, it's 1-0 Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I love Chick-fil-A nuggets because the flavor is unparalleled. As soon as you bite into them, you're in a happy place. The seasoning is perfect.
Hey, I'm Giovanni, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A nuggets is that they're perfectly breaded. There's just that right amount of crisp. I don't know what they're doing in the kitchen, but it's pure magic.
Novant Health halftime report here. Tonight's game is presented by Novant Health, and we're saluting all of the survivors of breast cancer tonight. Did you know that in the last year, Novant Health provided 986 low-income, uninsured participants with mammography screening services at 48 community events? This was made possible through generous grants and donations to the Novant Health Foundation. Get involved and donate to help us serve our community and find a cure. We've got plenty more for you coming up, but first it's The Dish wrapping up the last week of the regular season with Devin Kerr.
10 games for you. 7 coming out of the East, 3 coming out of the West, and this week's edition of The Dish. Simple enough. Riverhounds need 3 points and apply the pressure to get the #1 overall seed in Group F. They back a goal in the 15th. Union 2 respond, but Albert Dequa in the 92nd minute get them 3 points. Hartford Athletic, the pressure's on you. Charlotte Independence, North Carolina FC. A must-win for North Carolina FC. Instead, Valentin Sabella. And 94th minute, There's your game winner. Birmingham lost. That gets Charlotte Independence to the #1 seed in their group. Let's turn the page. Louisville City hosting Sporting Kansas City 2. Goals by Paolo Del Piccolo in the 26th minute, Cameron Lancaster in the 40th minute. Sporting Kansas City 2 and Tyler Freeman put up a fight, but the 2-1 victory bags the #1 seed in the East. Not the #1 seed overall, though. Reno 1868 hold that honor in the West. Tampa Bay Rowdies, Charleston Battery. Battery trying to find some momentum into the postseason. Yeah, how about 3 wins against the Tampa Bay Rowdies overall? In emphatic fashion, Zaracostas, the brace. They move on. They finish second in their group, though. St. Louis FC, here's another winning in. A draw gets them nowhere, but it does for Inley. Blackwood, 35th minute, boom. Wall Fall, 47th minute, boom. 2-0. Tyler Pasher would net from the spot. Too little, too late. Indy 11 out. St. Louis FC in. 901 FC take down the Birmingham Legion 3-1. Legion are absolutely stumbling, crawling, groppling, but they are into the postseason. As mentioned, Independence get the victory. They are the #1 seed there. Birmingham Legion still getting into the #2. Yeah, what's up on Bruno? He scored, but it wasn't good enough. Reno 1868. 3 points. Gets them the #1 overall seed in the entire USL Championship. As we stand right now, the road to the final runs through Greater Nevada Field. Phoenix Rising bouncing back. 4 goals. Santi Moar, Sam Stanton with the brace, and AJ Cochran. Augustine Williams grabbed his, what do they call it, the 13th on the year, gets to within 1 of Junior Fleming's, but not enough. Both of those teams, though, still alive. 1 and 2 in Group B. Austin Bold. Talk about groveling into the postseason. San Antonio FC is right there as well. Austin Bold should have won last time. They do it this time. Billy Forbes, Imatumasi. Yeah, that's 2 goals. That's enough. See ya. FC Tulsa won, though, so they don't make the postseason. Hartford Athletic, draw does nothing. They need a win in order to get into the 1 seed in their group, Group F. Oh, Connor McGlynn. Welcome back, Connor. How good is this? #2 overall behind Louisville based upon goal differential. #1 in Group F. Who'd have thought it? 2020. Nice to see you.
The arrival. I came in the league, went straight for the title. No time to idle. I'm finna get it, put that on a Bible. This is survival. Gotta treat every move like the final. Get it, don't mind it.
During this time in our community, we'd like to thank the frontline workers at Harris Teeter for keeping our family and team fed. And as we welcome you back to the Novant Health Halftime Report, Gary Bailey, Spencer Siegel with you here. Let's take a look at some news and notes from around the rest of the USL. Danny Vitiello wins the Gold Glove. He didn't even start the season as Pittsburgh's starting keeper. That was Tomas Gomez. Solomon Asante records the most assists in the USL. He's so good at distributing. And as we know, Gary, I hope you have your calendar set. Sunday, November 1st, ESPN proper. It's the USL Championship Final.
Yes, and wonderful to see it on ESPN. It's absolutely brilliant. So it should be, because the USL now is a really good league with some wonderfully talented players, and wow, it's going to be a hell of a final this year, I've no doubt about that.
All right, we are one of 4 Eastern Conference playoff games going on right now. Look at the bottom left-hand portion of your screen. Look at the top left-hand portion of your screen. St. Louis scores in the 93rd minute.
What?
It's Joaquin Rivas, 1-0. They live to fight yet another day, and they will play the winner of Lou City and Pittsburgh, which is still ongoing. Birmingham have tied it up. It's 2-2, which would please Mike Jeffries and Mike Anhauser for the time being, because if Birmingham win, the winner of our game gets another home game this season. It's 2-2. We'll keep you updated on that. They are in the second half. We will have the second half for you when we return. This is a look at your Eastern Conference bracket presented by Gatorade. First half highlights, first half stats, much more. Second half kickoff, all when we return.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I love Chick-fil-A nuggets because the flavor is unparalleled. As soon as you bite into them, you're in a happy place. The seasoning is perfect.
Hey, I'm Giovanni, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A nuggets is that they're perfectly breaded. There's just that right amount of crisp. I don't know what they're doing in the kitchen, but it's pure magic.
Novant Health halftime. You can see the rain coming down. It's going to be a wet and wild second half that we can surely expect. But first, let's take a look at how the first half played out. 1-0 Charleston. First half highlights brought to you by Famous Toastery. And it happened early, Gary Bailey, Niku Daly.
Yeah, Niku Daly takes a little opportunity. I think Clay Dimmick might have been waiting to see if there was a penalty or not. When Shakira goes down, so have a look. Shakira goes down, he's looking around and maybe just takes his eye off the ball. Niku Daly pounces, and they're 1-0 up.
Third fastest playoff goal in USL Championship history. And then the rest of the action really in the first half was on this end of the pitch. It was all Charlotte. They just couldn't put one home.
Yeah, deflected shot hits the post. Not much that Kuzminski could have done there. So unlucky for Charlotte. And then, as you say, a couple of shots, one going wide there that maybe should have hit target from Martinez. Fancied him to do better there. And then Harkinson's going to pop up with a couple. Oh, first, a little opportunity here. Don't forget that. Brandon Miller making another crucial save. So as much as you might look at Charlotte and say they had lots of little opportunities, the best ones did seem to fall to the battery. Here's Harkinson. Goalkeeper really should get that one, but they managed to deal with it.
Yeah, the Independents were chugging away in that first half, trying to pick up their equalizing goal. This is Martinez late, That one took a deflection as well. Joe Kuzminski was very good in the first half, making a handful of saves. And as you look at our halftime statistics here, which are brought to you by Brightway Insurance, you see the possession numbers. It's 58-42 for Charlotte, which is not necessarily their game, but we can expect more of that in the second half with the scoreline what it is.
Yes, Battery will probably absorb and try and counter, but there's another stat I want to add to that. It's chances. Chances for Charlotte 2, chances for Charleston Battery 5. So if you want to look at what all that possession gives you, better chances for the visitors.
Hyatt Place upcoming schedule. We're the last of the Eastern Conference games tonight. The 4 Western Conference quarterfinals coming up later tonight. What do you like in those 4 matchups?
All 4 of them. I think they're just, at this stage, I mean, I'm keen to see how good Reno 1868 are, because Los Dos are very good. Of course, Phoenix Rising, superb. San Antonio have had a wonderful season, by the way. So yeah, all great games.
It is pouring at the Sportsplex at Matthews. And we will play out the second half in these conditions, with Charlotte needing a goal to equalize. Charleston, with this scoreline, would move on to the conference semifinals and become one of the final 8 teams in the USL Championship's wild 2020 season.
And it's a wild night with all this rain and the pitch with puddles everywhere. And we said it from the beginning, and I'll keep saying it. It's about how you manage the conditions, and a lot of it is just get the ball down the other end. You know, pretty soccer is nice when you can do it, but if you can't, you want to be playing football in the opposition half, because mistakes will happen. And if they happen in the opposition half, you've got a chance to punish them.
Charlotte in the blue, Charleston in their white and gold. Spencer Siegel here with you. I've got a man who posted 13 FA Cup clean sheets. That's Gary Bailey.
How do you know that stuff? I don't even know that.
Yes, you do.
I don't, seriously.
Don't lie to the people.
I only know how many appearances I had, not how many clean sheets in the FA Cup. You're the master statistician.
Happy to have you along on this wet night. The players are the ones getting soaked. We're dry. It appears Charlotte will come out, and I'm assuming this is something Mike Jeffries talked about at halftime. You've got to play like every minute is the final minute of your season at this point. They appear to be going at a pretty ferocious pace.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to leave anything on the table here, because you're going to have regrets if you do. Because you realize, of course, it is a knockout situation, and you want to both mentally and physically give absolutely everything for your team. That's what we're going to see in the next 45 minutes, and why you mustn't go anywhere if you're watching. I think it's going to be a really exciting, nail-biting end to this game.
Believe it or not, despite all of the pushing and shoving and arguing of the first half, we did not see a caution issued. So Lucas Spalla, our referee, electing to let this one play out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything nasty that deserved a yellow card, and I think he was very quick, the referee, to jump on anything and talk to the players and, you know, and tell them to behave. So very well refereed, but you do sense that as this match gets, you know, sort of closer to a conclusion, it's going to get chippier and there's more at stake, and that's when the ref's going to have to be very strong.
Charlotte will maraud forward. It's Armin. Still Armin, looking for the feet of Kelly. So much more difficult to stick the ball to your feet in these conditions.
Which does make me wonder for Battery. They have a big man in Arthur Boschwa on the bench. I think we might be seeing him, because in these conditions, a big target man is someone to aim for.
Hawkinson cannot track it down.
And something else both managers would probably have said to the players is, hey, I've got substitutes. We're allowed to bring on 5. So guys, give me everything you got. If you have to die on the pitch in the 70th minute, I'll pull you off. But I want you to run. And you look at, you know, Valentin Sabella and Derek Gebhardt, and of course Christian Cheney on the bench for Charlotte. I think we'll be seeing them, especially if the scoreline holds. You'll be seeing Christian Cheney come on, because he's a big unit and someone that they can bomb the ball into the box as the clock starts to tick down.
They have offensive options. They have not really utilized their subs this year. You get 5 substitutions this season because of the condensed schedule. Ortiz finds Johnson. Back to Ortiz. Cleared away by Lewis. Duke Lacroix. Johnson for Ortiz once again. Nowhere to go for Ortiz. It does deflect to Johnson. Martinez. Arman likes that left foot. Jake Arman. And it sails up into the suites. I believe that's a contingent of Charleston staffers.
That's a pity for Arman. It just seemed to bobble as he went to hit it. Right idea, opened up a little bit of a gap, got himself an angle, put lots of power behind the ball. It just popped up on him and it blazed it over the bar. And again, I would rather see the players shoot low and hard and skip it off the turf, because in these treacherous conditions, as a goalkeeper, a hard shot bouncing in front of you can be extremely difficult to deal with. Obviously, anything knocked over the bar, you don't have to deal with it at all. It's not a test for you.
Hawkinson tries to track down his own pass. Miscommunication. Dimmick has to pull Daly's shirt. I don't think Spalla saw it. So Charlotte will continue on. It's Lacroix. Still Duke Lacroix. In the end, left it short for Hawkinson. And he wins it back. Lacroix to the middle.
That's good pressure from the home side, isn't it? Charlotte pushing forward now, probing much better than they did first half. Now, maybe that's because Charleston have decided to be more defensive, or are being forced to be more defensive. But certainly, the blue shirts are creating opportunities and putting pressure on that Battery back four. We didn't see much of that until the last 10 minutes of the first half, but they've certainly come out second half pumped up and positive.
Sachero. Gadula. Archer's been given that space. Flicks it up for Sachero, who tries to slip in Gadula, and it's just out of his reach. This is a...
Sorry, I was going to say, it's good play out of the back from Charleston Battery there, finding the gaps, turning in midfield, trying to thread the ball behind the defense of Charlotte. So they're still playing well, Battery, and we've said it a few times, their form this season, especially in the last month or so, has been absolutely top class, and they're keeping it going here tonight.
Eto again ahead of the pack. Been testing the right side all night. Johnson working on Zarakostas. Picks up a double team. Ortiz curls it into the box. Kuzminski handles it.
Good goalkeeping, positive, comes out, gets a hold of the ball at the second attempt, but nonetheless gets it. And that's so useful when you're under pressure, when a goalkeeper comes and takes it and just calms everything down. It just gives the defense time to have a little bit of a breather.
From Denver, Kuzminski. He's in his 4th season. Went over on loan in Israel, didn't make an appearance. But Mike Anheuser said as soon as he came back, we didn't want to rush him into it. Phil Brino was doing well. Joe came in, started training, and showed his ability from day one. Daly. Dimmick gives him space, blocks the cross. It's now Zarakostas. He'll try a curler, and in these conditions, that is a difficult shot.
I'm not sure that was a shot. Was it a shot? It was either a very poor cross or a very poor shot. But I'm not going to have a dip at Zarakostas because the goals he has been scoring, he's entitled to get one off occasionally. He's been an absolute star for the Battery in the last few weeks with his goals.
Nicely flicked on for Hawkinson. Johnson again, like a broken record. He'll cross it in, looking for Kelly. Cleared by Angelo Kelly. Dimmick does well.
Just watch the body language of the likes of Angelo Kelly in the midfield for Battery. There's some tired legs already out there, which means I'm thinking the managers are probably beginning to wonder if they should make changes in the next 5 minutes or so. Normally it's around the 60th minute that managers decide that fresh legs are needed.
Armin runs forward, left it short for Hawkinson. Kelly gets to it. A long run for Ortiz, he won't get there. And it just looks like right now that Charlotte is trying to walk it forward towards that penalty box. And once they get there, it's so jam-packed, they're left with few options.
Yes, yeah. Battery a little bit deeper. They've closed off a lot of the spaces. But again, it's tired bodies that are beginning to show, and that's when errors can come into your game. And right now, it's Charlotte who look the brighter, but it's these counter-attacks that might catch them out.
Dimmick would have given away a corner if not for Zarakostas' foul.
Zarakostas saying, who, me? I didn't do a thing. Mike Anhauser joining in as well.
Pressure applied by Sachero. Enzo Martinez. Speared out for Armin. Eto. Ortiz. Still Ortiz. Ray Ortiz, and it's just wide.
Well, that was close, wasn't it? For a second, I thought it'd sneak just inside the post, but that's what they've been looking for, Charlotte. And we said a minute or two ago they were beginning to get the gaps they wanted. And all they're going to do is hit the target and see if they can get it past the big man in goals, Joe Kuzminski, but the idea is good.
Fooled our graphics department for a second.
But look, he cuts inside, which you shouldn't really be allowed to do. One of the defenders turning his back. Again, not the best type of defending. You do sense that Charlotte are really beginning to find one or two little opening gaps. But again, on the counter-attack, they have to be very careful.
Set piece chance here for Charleston. While they set that up, it'll give us a chance to update you on the other games going on in the Eastern Conference. Mentioned full-time St. Louis getting the win over Hartford. The game that matters in terms of who will play the winner of this one, it was 2-0 Tampa Bay, and then it was 2-2. Birmingham got two back, and then in the 78th and 80th minutes, the Rowdies scored two more times, 4-2 in the 90th minute. It looks like the winner of tonight's game here in Charlotte will be headed to Al Lang Stadium to take on the Rowdies.
That's a good victory by the Rowdies, and they are an excellent team. So whoever wins here has got another battle coming up. Nobody said this was an easy tournament to win.
Meanwhile, at Lynn Family Stadium. Corbin Bones' 86th minute goal gives Louisville a 2-0 lead. So Pittsburgh, after a remarkable season, look to be headed home after just one game.
That's depressing for Pittsburgh Riverhound fans, because they have been so good this season, and I couldn't believe it when Hartford finished above them in that table. But it is what it is, and that's why there's so much at stake here today for both these teams and their families and everybody involved with them. Because one of them is going to be super happy and heading probably to Tampa, and the other, it's all over for this season.
Do have two West Coast games getting underway as well. The #1 seed in the Western Conference, Reno 1868, and LA Galaxy 2, Los Dos, 18 minutes in. That game is 1-1, as we'll see our first substitution of the night, brought to you by Smoothie King. Dante Marini will spell Niku Daly. Marini, the Pennsylvania native, who captained the season opener and also the final game against Tampa Bay this year. He replaces the goal scorer Daly.
Yeah, Daly didn't do too much for me. He scored, obviously scored the vital goal, but that was made for him by Cicero. Other than that, I didn't see enough from Niku Daly. He's such a good talent, and he's so quick. He sort of didn't get himself involved enough in this game so far.
Eto has done well to turn tonight, finding Johnson with his head up. Cross blocked and out for just a throw. Roberts keeps it in. A lot of dribbling from Charlotte. They haven't been able to press into the box. Dane Kelly has been conspicuously absent tonight. Ortiz slipping in Johnson. He can't get to it, and that might be Ortiz's last action tonight. Derek Gebhard is set to check in.
It is time to get fresh legs on, especially for Charlotte. They've got to get that goal. And sometimes it's somebody who comes on who isn't tired, who's got that extra little bit of zest about them. Ray Ortiz did well. He caused a lot of problems, threatened a lot, but time for Gebhard to do his magic. That's what his manager wants anyway from him.
Gebhard, who turns 25 next week, does have a pair of goals this season. Here he is. Immediately, he draws the foul. And there is our first caution of the night. It's Robbie Crawford. Went in somewhat recklessly.
Well, there'll be more of those to come in the last 30 minutes or so, I would guess. Starts getting more and more desperate, more and more tired legs, more and more lunges.
Armin has been the delivery man tonight. That left foot. More key passes than any other Charlotte player this year. Can he make yet another? It's flicked on by Roberts, and it's in, and Charlotte have equalized. Hugh Roberts makes it 1-1.
Came from a set piece, and we said earlier, you keep giving away set pieces, eventually one is going to fall, and that's exactly what has happened for Charlotte. Big ball into the box, bobbled around. I think they hit the goalkeeper. He makes the save. There, he gets his foot to it. In fact, it's a very good save from Joe Kuzminski, but it comes straight out to Roberts, who smacks it into the empty net. And it might even have been Dane Kelly who won the initial header. So 1-1, game on, and certainly they deserve it, Charlotte. They have been pushing for the last what, 10 minutes before halftime, and the 20 minutes or so in this second half. So credit to the home side.
Hugh Roberts took 14 shots in the regular season. He did not score a goal. That was the most on the Charlotte side among players who did not score. And he scores perhaps the biggest goal of Charlotte's season to date. It levels the game at 1, and we start at square one. The way Charlotte have played, they look like the side more likely to win inside of 90 minutes.
It is a problem sometimes when you do go ahead, and as in the case of the Battery, you go ahead and then you sort of try and hold on to that lead and you get pushed further and further back, and then when eventually the opposition do score against you, you're sort of stuck in that defensive pose. So very important for Charleston now to change their outlook, to go on the attack a little bit more, as they're so capable of doing. And as we mentioned, Charlotte haven't scored more than 1 goal in the last 4 matches. If they want to win this in normal time and not go to penalties, they'll need another goal. Of course, for the Battery, they've scored plenty in some of their matches. So it's all set up. We keep saying the same thing, but we're stuck to our word. We said it was going to be exciting and be end-to-end, and that's exactly what it's been.
That Charlotte Independence goal is brought to you by Gatorade. And if you're coming to town, the Hyatt Place downtown is the perfect place to stay. Located in Uptown Charlotte, you'll find plenty of dining and entertainment for your pregame and postgame festivities.
Oh, set piece just worked for Charlotte. Can it work for Charleston Battery?
Crawford looking for that back post. Archer gets up to it, and Miller claims it. It would not have been on target. Rowdies and Legion have gone final 4-2. Tampa Bay will be advancing to the conference semifinals, and they await the winner of this game. So we welcome those of you joining us from watching that Tampa Bay-Birmingham game. Louisville City also with a 2-0 win over Pittsburgh. That game has gone final. This is the lone remaining Eastern Conference matchup here in the conference quarterfinals. Dimmick looking for Kelly, who's been quiet tonight. We know that can change in an instant. Dane Kelly with a dribbler into Kuzminski. Fans tickets for the 2021 season at the new home Veterans Memorial Stadium are on sale now. Go to charlotteindependence.com to lock in great seats at this beautiful new stadium.
Well, it's 1-1 at the moment. That was the score when they met earlier in the season. There's not much to choose between them. Momentum has come back towards Charlotte, but then you sense the Battery are able to push forward. So everything hanging in the balance now. Perfect sort of playoff game where very difficult to call, and it's going to be down to a bit of magical play or maybe an error that might separate these two teams.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, that's Gary Bailey. I'm Spencer Siegel. First goal of the game belongs to Charleston. That came in the 3rd minute. 3rd fastest goal in USL Championship playoff history. And just moments ago, Hugh Roberts with a tap-in equalizer for the Independents. Marini the substitute for Kelly. Back to Dante Marini. Out wide, Gadula. Angelo Kelly. Cut out by Roberts, who retreats to his center back position. Gadula slips in Lewis. Back to the middle, Crawford. Martinez comes in hot, and he's fouled.
Crawford's already been booked, hasn't he? Not saying that's the second yellow.
Well, it looks like it's a conversation about if that happens again, it could be a second yellow.
Absolutely. You've got to be so careful when you're on a yellow already, lunging in like that. Now, I'm pleased it wasn't a second yellow, because we don't want to see anyone get sent off, but he is now walking a tightrope. If he wasn't beforehand, Robbie Crawford, he now has to be extremely careful of what he does.
It was in the second half in a 1-1 contest when these two teams met earlier this year that Renico Clark was sent off in the 85th minute. Did end 1-1. Somewhat surprised that we haven't seen a caution on Charlotte's side. They've really benefited from being aggressors in the second half of the season. First 2 months of the season, through September 5th, they had 12 yellows. That was tied for the fewest in the league. And then all of a sudden, they flipped a switch, and they started winning games. Here comes Charleston. It's Mauro Cicero. Never really had a chance. And just to finish that thought, after that September 5th game, 12 yellow cards, fewest in the league, all of a sudden, final 6 games of the year, they had 23 additional yellow cards. Worked their total all the way up to 35, which was top 15 in the league. None so far tonight.
Cicero just saying that he feels he was being held onto, but now the Battery are pushing forward a little bit more, and we're going to have to see Charlotte defend from these set pieces.
Crawford's cross headed on into the air, and only as far as Patterson. Kelly to the middle. Roberts blocks it well. Gebhard gets fouled.
Could be a yellow.
And AJ Patterson will go into the book.
Yeah. As we said, as they get more tired and as the match tends to come towards the end, you'll see more and more fouls, more and more yellow cards. You've got to understand that the players have given so much in these 70 minutes that they just can't quite get that little bit of pace, a little bit of speed, a little bit of judgment that they were getting earlier on in the game.
We've got 20 minutes and then stoppage time to determine a winner within the 90. Should the scoreline remain or perhaps even move to 2-2, we'll play 2 additional 15-minute periods in their entirety to determine a winner. And if we're still tied beyond that point, it comes down to the nail-biting penalty kick situation. Still a lot to be decided before then. Gebhard dribbled himself into a dead end. Martinez charges down the ball and wins it. Enzo tripped, but not fouled. Charleston will try to counter. Lewis. Gadula. Crawford floats one into the box. Cleared by Dimmick.
That was Lewis getting that flick on, I think, at that near post. We haven't seen much of him, and he has the potential, absolutely, to win this game. Zico Lewis, 6 goals this season, and Zarakostas with 5. Those are the 2 players you want to try and get on the ball, I would think, if you're Charleston Battery. Try and work opportunities for those 2, because they're both in great form at the moment.
Anderson. See how deep Charlotte are sitting. Not coming out on the ball. Angelo Kelly with some space in front of him. Slipped in from Marini. Martinez right back to Lacroix. Perhaps a chance to run for Dane Kelly. He'll spear one towards the back post. Beautifully laid out for Hawkinson, who now needs to make a move. Luke Hawkinson. Armin's service, that's dangerous. Oh. Johnson back in. Over the head of Gebhard. Charleston able to breathe for a moment.
Dane Kelly was on the verge of knocking that into the back of the net. I don't know if it was A.J. Patterson got a foot on that, or was it Archer, but either way, great bit of defensive play from Charleston Battery, and wonderful ball in from wide out on that left-hand side for Charlotte. So it's perfectly balanced. It's Charleston has a go, then Charlotte has a go, and I think there's going to be nerves and tension right up until the dying moments of this match.
Well, there's been plenty of hydration falling on the pitch tonight, but this is a case of trying to catch your breath, and as they do that, we'll show you how we got to this point. The first goal, 2.5 minutes in, Nikiu Daly, third fastest goal in USL Championship playoff history.
Yeah, Sachero there creating the opportunity, and this from the set piece. Flick on there, the goalkeeper makes a really good save, and Hugh Roberts is on hand to knock it into an empty net. And they had plenty of set pieces, so you felt that eventually something was going to drop for them. I think Dane Kelly causing all sorts of problems. I just wonder maybe if Kuzminski could have pushed his defense a little bit further out, but either way, eventually felt that something was going to break, and it did. So it's sitting perfectly balanced, tired legs, tired minds, which is why I reckon we will see some more subs just to get a fresh face or two onto the pitch. And if you're Charlotte, Christian Cheney would seem like a good opportunity, and maybe Sabella. And if you're Charleston Battery, Arthur Boschua, the big man, could be ideal to have a target man that you can knock that high ball up to in these difficult and slippery conditions.
And we've only seen one sub from either side so far. We will see our second Smoothie King substitution for Charlotte. It is Valentin Sabella, who scored what you could consider the group-winning goal against North Carolina last week. 1-0 victory, scored it at the death, 94th minute. Native of Buenos Aires. Only Dane Kelly has taken more shots on target than Sabella this season.
I think Luke Hawkinson has come off, and he's had a few really good efforts tonight. Hawkinson hasn't been able to get that breakthrough, but has had a decent match. So now it becomes a little bit like a chess game with the managers, changing players, testing out different positions, telling the players to try and find the tired legs in defense and run at them. And this is where heroes are going to be made, or villains, one of the two.
Well won back by Lewis. Able to release Patterson on the near side. Charlotte, who had been pressing when down a goal, have started to pack in.
Well, this sort of defense worked for Charlotte in their last match against North Carolina, catching them on a counter-attack. As you mentioned, Sabella with that winner, so maybe it's a style that Charlotte are comfortable with.
Look at Armin go. He's been doing that all night. Creates an opportunity to slip in. Kelly here with options in the box. Kelly drops it back. Gebhard.
Oh,
it was miskicked, and it almost fell to Sabella.
If they'd have seen Sabella, he was on his own at the far post. Just a little pass to him, and he had a one-on-one with the keeper.
Back in. It's Gebhard, deflected by Archer. Not sure that that was headed goal bound.
And that's another chance. Gebhard could have and should have forced the keeper into a save there. So in the space of a minute, two good opportunities for the home side.
Win tonight, and it's on to Tampa Bay. Lose, and it's back to quarantining at home. Lacroix, Kelly, Armin in, cleared by Patterson. Heavy touch from Crawford, who does win the benefit of a foul.
Yeah, you're right, Armin once again with a lovely ball in, causing all sorts of problems. And he really has been the star of the show for Independence here tonight. I know we'll look at Roberts with the goal, but certainly Jake Armin has been wonderful in midfield with his supply.
Reno have picked up a second goal in the first half. They lead Los Dos 2-1. 0-0 in the 38th minute between San Antonio and New Mexico. 7 minutes in, El Paso and Tulsa scoreless. Mike Anhauser is Charleston soccer. He's been there essentially since the beginning. Johnson floats one in towards the back post. Gebhard gives chase. They can't do anything with it. He's been a member of the Battery coaching staff, Anhauser, since 1999. He retired as a player from Charleston in 1998. Joined as a player in 94. This Charleston team has made the playoffs in 13 consecutive seasons. All 10 USL championship seasons. Charlotte win a free kick.
13 consecutive seasons. That is amazing by Mike Anhauser and the Battery. Absolutely brilliant. But right now, I think he would swap almost anything for a win here tonight, because I'm sure he's desperate not to see the season come to a bitter end. By the way, the same for Charlotte. They've only been in 2 playoffs and got knocked out in both of them, so they've never been beyond this point as well. So still, with 10 minutes of normal time left to go, it's everything up for grabs for both these sides.
Anhauser said this year has been different in terms of the transition of players than in the past, but in comparison to teams that have done better over those years, this team is right up there. Armin's service. Patterson with the clearance. Given away cheaply. Armin right there defensively.
I guess the one thing that we all notice that we miss from these games is the crowd. Can you imagine the crowd at this stage, 1-1, last 10 minutes, or last 9 minutes or so? They'd be pumped up and fired up.
Lewis tries to flick it back. Nothing doing, says Lucas Spalla. Play on.
Well, he was there, the ref. He was very close. I thought it was a fair call for a penalty. It was worth the call, put it that way.
Worth another look, that's for sure.
The referee was right on the spot, so credit to Lucas Spalla. He didn't see anything there, but a good run into the box by Charleston, causing all sorts of problems.
Penalties are not something that either of these sides are used to conceding this season. In fact, neither team has allowed a penalty kick goal this season. Charlotte hasn't allowed an attempt. I beg your pardon, Charleston hasn't allowed an attempt. Charlotte have had Brandon Miller save 2 attempts. And yet, after all of that, we're about 40 minutes away from perhaps seeing 5 penalties aside. Sean Nemhard. Our second Smoothie King substitution for Charleston.
It looks like it's Patterson going off, and he's already got a yellow card, so that might be part of the thinking. They can't risk him getting a second yellow. And fresh legs on that can run and maybe counter-attack. And I guess both managers looking to extra time and saying, well, if nothing happens in the next 7 minutes or so, they're going to want fresh legs for what follows, which is 30 minutes of extra time.
Well, it's a strange setup because you get 5 substitutions. You only get 3 windows, but if we go past the allotted 90 minutes, you get an extra sub and an extra window. Both sides have made 2 subs to this point.
Markets, the official convenience store of North Charlotte Independence, with hot sandwiches, countless beverages, and tons of snacks. Make your next stop.
Well, this is where, as a player, you just don't want to make the mistake that gives the game to the opposition. You don't want to be the one that hits a bad pass that gets intercepted or misses an open goal or whatever it is, because you're not going to have much time to recover. And in the knockout sort of system, cup type system, this is when hearts get broken and players either get wonderful memories or terrible memories of a game like this. Yeah, a little bit of cramp, not surprised. It's been wet underfoot and it's been hard going.
It's been a cool-ish night, just under 70 degrees. Down goes Sabella. And a spot for Charlotte to once again set up a set piece opportunity. They scored off of Armin's free kick from the near side. This doesn't look like shooting range, but we've seen stranger things.
Everything's possible from here. I did hear a voice from the sideline saying they scream every time. So I think that's aimed at Sabella and company, that when they get kicked, they shout loud. But that's, again, all part of the game. It's all part of selling the foul to the referee, and now you get the advantage to put it in there and see if you can score another goal from a set piece.
Armin floats one towards the back post, and it's easy for Kuzminski.
Well read by the goalkeeper, nice and positive, strong, never in any doubt whatsoever. Has to be a little bit better of a free kick than that to reach the strikers.
Just a reminder, if we get to extra time, Roberts tries to shield off Zarakostas and does. If we get to extra time, it's not sudden death. You'll play out both 15-minute periods until the 30 minutes have elapsed. But Gary, we're getting to the point here in regulation time where a goal could essentially be sudden death, where it turns into the winner.
Oh, absolutely. If you score now, there's very little time for the opposition to get themselves back in the game, which is why I was saying that this is where, as a player, you start to stress about not being the one that makes the mistake or the one who misses the open goal that could have won it in normal time. Those things go through the back of, or go through the players' minds, the back of their minds, as they try to focus on seeing out this game, because they're getting tired. Again, people at home have to understand, you know, this is getting towards the end of a game where normally you would have 3 minutes left, and they're going to have a potential 30 minutes to follow. Tired bodies often means tired and bad decisions.
Roberts with a confident head to Miller. Johnson wanted the overlap, instead dumps it back to Dimmick. And Shake ladling forward. Sachero exchanging passes with Gadula.
Just seeing Sachero and thinking after 3 minutes he helped create the goal, and you would have thought Battery could have built on that, but they haven't been able to, which is huge credit to Charlotte. They got themselves back in the match. And they're now making it as difficult as possible for the Battery to find any space in between their lines.
Encroaching upon added time here on the 90. Charlotte looking for their first ever playoff win in their first ever playoff game at home. Previously 0-2, both losses came to Rochester, 2016 and 2017. They did play extra time in 2017, It was a 2-1 loss, did not go to PKs. Lewis cuts inside on his left foot to the feet of Cicero. Cicero's shot bounced away by Miller. Out for a corner kick. We're expecting 4 added minutes on the end of the 90.
Good save by the goalkeeper again. Brandon Miller showing why he's had the most saves in the USL. Always in the right position, gets his body behind it, pushes it away for a corner. A little bit of space that Charleston were able to find there. Cicero's hit it, but he hasn't really smashed it. Decent save, but here comes a set piece. Anything possible from set pieces.
Into the mixer it goes, and it was last touched by a Charleston player.
It was 2 yards or 3 yards out. Just thinking, could they have done more with that? Charleston, I think it was Cicero, sort of came off his body, and that's the problem with these set pieces when there's so many players around it. Anything can happen, anything can get knocked down in that box.
Here you see 4 minutes to find a goal and advance to the conference semifinals. Is there a hero on the pitch, or will we play an extra 30? Eto has been crucial tonight. He gives it away this time. Gadula with bodies in the box to aim at. Roberts with the clearance, but one back by Charleston.
Charleston in a good position here, aren't they? Just keep that pressure on for the last few minutes. Dominate possession, get it wide, see if you can whip the ball in.
Lewis. Archer, who's meandering forward. White jersey's starting to creep up in what's looking like one of the final opportunities. Gadula's cross into the side netting. It does take a deflection though, and it will be a battery corner.
Yeah, another corner, another set piece, another opportunity for something to happen there. I'm sure neither set of players is that keen to go into an extra 30 minutes. Having said that, you'll do whatever it takes to get through to the next round.
Could this be the moment for Charleston? Crawford's service. Headed away by Roberts. Sabella tracks it down. No immediate opportunity to run for Charlotte. And instead, Charlotte is released on the feet of Lacroix. Still going, and he wins the corner. End-to-end football at the end of this game.
Yeah, Dane Kelly was in the middle there, just wondering if there was any way in which Duke Lacroix could get a cross into him. Been very quiet, Dane Kelly. Doesn't have much service, but you know he's always likely to pop up with something. So as you say, another set piece, this time to Charlotte. There's the man who's been putting in so many good crosses all match long, Jake Armin.
Armin assisted the equalizing goal early in the second half. Can he assist the winner? Looking for Roberts. Out for Martinez. He'll put one back in. Kuzminski claims it.
Again,
Wants to go quick.
Yeah, the goalkeeper's been great with his hands, hasn't he? He's come and caught so much that's been whipped into the box. No question that Charlotte have put in a way more crosses than Charleston have. And Kuzminski's been able to deal with them all, except that one that they got the goal from, a long, deep free kick into the box. It got knocked down. He actually made a good save from it, to be fair to him, but the loose ball falling to Hugh Roberts, and that's why we are sitting at 1-1.
These two teams played to a 1-1 draw in August. A draw is not good enough tonight. Armin with the last chance. Again, Kuzminski there. Loose throw, and Enzo Martinez will pick up a yellow card for that, and surely he'll be happy to do so. You don't want to take any chances in the final stages of this regulation period.
Yeah, what they call a professional foul. Got to be done. Take one for the team. Just slow the game down. And he was just angry that he got caught in that position and tried to point to something else the referee didn't give. But yeah.
Truck sticked him.
That's what you have to do. Now, of course, the problem is the next 30 minutes of extra time, assuming it happens, he's going to have to tread carefully, as we already have with Crawford.
Is there time for Charleston? There is not. We will play 30 more minutes to determine a winner tonight. 1-1 at the end of the 90.
It looks like Martinez is having a word with the referee as if that wasn't a yellow card, as if he's pointing somewhere else, saying we weren't given the decision. But when you've got a yellow, you're better off walking away from the ref, because you can get a second yellow for yapping in his ear, and you don't want to have that situation.
Though I agree with you, I would say this juncture, this stage of the game, that's a harsh second yellow that would be awarded, no?
Yeah, but it can be given if you keep going on at the referee, and especially if you start using bad language or accusing the referee of God forbid, cheating or something. You can easily get a second yellow. And in the heat of the moment, players have been known to say some crazy things. But fortunately, it looks like Martinez controlled himself. And now over to the coaches. What do they say in this situation? How do they give their players a little bit of energy, a little bit of self-belief? Because there's some tired legs out there, no question of that.
Well, both sides will be granted an additional substitute and an additional window, which means that for the remainder of these 30 minutes here, both teams who have equal windows and substitutes remaining will have 4 substitutes that they can use if they please across 2 windows. Let's take a look at how we got to this point. It's 1-1, and it started really early. I've said it a number of times tonight, it's worth repeating. 3rd fastest goal in USL Championship playoff history. Niku Daly in the 3rd minute, 2.5 minutes in.
Yes, Ichero does so well to actually get in the box, drive in the box. Good ball from Siko Lux. He's driving there. The ball comes loose, and quickest to respond is Niku Daly. I think the defenders maybe were worrying about a penalty and took the eye off Niku Daly. And then a couple of efforts from Charleston as they put pressure. The pressure began to build for them. They started getting more set pieces, more pressure on that Charleston battery defense. And ultimately it was from this set piece, beautifully put in. The ball saved by Kuzminski, but Hugh Roberts is there to pounce on it and level at 1-1.
Hadn't scored a goal in the regular season, took more shots without scoring than any Charlotte player, and he gets the biggest goal here tonight. After that original Charleston goal, the initial goal in the 3rd minute, it was mostly all Charlotte, but Charleston did have a couple of chances, a few in the first half, and this save from Miller on the Sachero shot here in the 2nd.
Yeah, it's not a bad shot, but I would expect Miller, someone as good as him, to make that save. But here's the news. Well done, St. Louis, who nearly didn't make it. I wonder what Indy 11 are thinking at the moment, because they looked nailed on to have that position, and St. Louis pipping them to the post.
So St. Louis has the unenviable task of visiting Lou City, and then the winner of this game will head to Tampa Bay or St. Pete at Al Lang Stadium and play the Rowdies. Now, both of these teams, when we talked to the head coaches earlier this week, when asked who they'd rather play, they both said Birmingham. I think at this point they'd both be happy with a win tonight. But yeah, I think you'd have to say that these coaches tonight have really done well to manage the game. And although this isn't always what you're looking for, neither team has lost it, as opposed to one team going out trying to win it.
Yeah, they've both been well organized. They've both worked hard. Certainly Charlotte coming back after conceding after 3 minutes. And then after that, once they got the equalizer, Charleston battery, they started putting pressure on. Yet neither side has made a real error. They've both played well, but all that's going to be forgotten because it's now about the remaining 30 minutes and potentially penalties.
So 90 minutes wasn't enough. Gary Bailey, Spencer Siegel here with you tonight. This game got started an hour late after a delay from how wet the pitch was, and the rain really didn't stop. But it's drained well, and off we go. 30 more minutes, 2 15-minute periods. The only Eastern Conference game to head to extra time, although we had a chance for a couple of others to do so as well. St. Louis got their goal in the 94th minute. Forward Lacroix for Gebhard, who tried to slip in Kelly. Kelly was in an offside position on the second pass attempt.
Well, we mentioned we haven't seen much of Dane Kelly, but no question that with tired legs in defense of Charleston Battery, this is his time to shine. He's such a good finisher, such a good player. And if he has lots of running still left in his legs, he can cause Charleston Battery all sorts of problems. I'm also wondering about subs. Both teams having made 2 subs, if I'm correct. And I would think that you would probably want to get some more fresh legs on at some stage. And looking at the bench, Christian Cheney on the one side and Arthur Boschua for Charleston Battery on the other could be good options.
Well, you've got 2 windows left each side, and remember, you can't make a sub after 120 minutes if the game is still tied and you go to PKs. You've got to make that sub before time comes to an end. Johnson is offside. Mentioned Charleston in one of their previous 2 playoff games did play extra time. They lost to Rochester 2-1 in 2017. Meanwhile, over the last 6 years, Charleston have played a number of games which have needed an extra frame. Twice in 2015, beat Richmond and then lost to Lou City. Last year, game went to PKs, their first round game against the 8th-seeded Ottawa Fury. It was Ottawa's last game as a franchise. It was tied 1-1. It finished 5-4, and Joe Kuzminski came up huge in that game. Ottawa nearly had a winner in the 120th minute. Here comes that man, Gary, as you were talking about. It's Boschua.
Yep. And it's the right time for him to come on. Certainly, Shakiro was struggling with cramp, but also Boschua's fresh legs, fresh attitude, desperate to get on and join in. And he can make a big difference, the big man up front.
Crawford lofts one towards Boschua. And Armin sees it out for a goal kick, but the first touch from Boschua almost gave him a chance to net the go-ahead goal.
He's a big target man. It gives you another option. You can knock high balls into him. You can get balls wide and whip them in for crosses. And you know that he can find the back of the net. 44 appearances in total for Charleston, 7 goals amongst those. So he can score.
Miller nearly lost it. Boschua has scored late this year too, a 99th minute goal earlier this season. Forward Marini, Boschua, now Zaracostas.
Gets a deflection there, so he gets a corner, and we haven't seen much of Zaracostas either, or Zico Lewis, all of them. In fact, all of the good goal scorers on both sides have been pretty well tied up by the defensive efforts, but as we say, with tired legs, you begin to wonder if Dane Kelly on one side and Zaracostas and Zico Lewis on the other suddenly start to get some gaps and opportunities. Who knows, there might still be plenty more goals in this game.
6th corner for Charleston. Crawford towards the near post. And out for a Charlotte throw. Charlotte dominated possession in the first half. Down a goal early, trying to get back into the game. They got their equalizer And possession was about 50-50 in the second half. Both sides have had their opportunities.
They're two good sides, two very well-matched sides. And certainly with Charlotte having home ground advantage, I think that probably evens out the fact that Charleston Battery are probably a slightly better team man for man, certainly in attack. So it's very well balanced. Hard to call which way it goes, and as we said from the beginning, it might come down to an error, and that's what Enzo Martinez said as well in his interview. It comes down to an error, comes down to a mistake, or it comes down to a moment of brilliance.
Both teams putting it on the line tonight. It's been a gutsy performance. And as you said, Gary, the legs are starting to go, but the mind won't let them. Eto flicked up for Dane Kelly. Sabella making a run.
Sabella was making a run through the middle, and Dane Kelly tried to put him wide on the right when that wasn't where he was running. So again, Dane Kelly with a little bit of a tired body, tired mind there, but Sabella providing the spark that a substitute does bring. And that's what you have to do as a team as well, is try and get your fresh players to make the runs that the players who've been on now for 96 minutes haven't got the legs to do.
If you are just joining us, where have you been? We've got two 15-minute extra time periods here. We'll play to 1:20 on the clock. Enzo Martinez, who's captained this team in 47 of its franchise's last 50 games.
Must admit, the pitch has drained very well, because when we saw it early on, there were puddles everywhere, and as the match has gone on, the pitch looks even better. Credit to the grounds people at this stadium.
Still bouncing around at the top of the box. Crawford punts it down the pitch. It's certainly taken a beating tonight. You can see essentially what looks like aeration. Just a lot of cleats. Crawford gets his defender off balance. Now it's Lewis. He loves that left foot, and he can't wrap it around the boot. Sails out for a goal kick.
Had Boschua right in front of him, who was free. That wasn't the right choice to shoot. That's the tired mind coming into it. Arthur Boschua made a good little run. All it needed was Zico just to put a little short pass through. Boschua was in. Again, this is what we talk about with tired legs. Tired minds, you make the wrong decisions. You wouldn't make those decisions early in a game when you're fresh. But now when you're so tired, you just can't think, oh, that's a yellow at least.
It's Marini who will pick up the yellow. Enzo is lobbying for a different shade.
And Enzo has to be careful on a yellow himself. You can lobby, but you can't do much more than that. But it was a very rash tackle there from Dante Marini, and in this modern day of VAR, that overseas might have got him a red card, but there was no malice. He didn't mean it. He just totally misjudged the ball. But his foot was raised. Let's have a look at it again. If you had VAR, would you give this as a red card? Yep, I would give that as a red card. I can understand why Martinez came flying in there requesting more than a yellow, but fortunately for Dante Marini, referee gets one look at it. He decides it's a yellow.
Dane Kelly hasn't had much of any chance tonight. He scuffs that one into Kuzminski. As you mentioned, Gary, no VAR in the USL Championship, and right now the Charleston Battery front office lobbying to the league to keep it that way. It is only yellow. About 5.5 minutes left of the first extra time period. Play the second 15 regardless of whether or not we see a goal.
Another yellow card. Well, We said it was going to happen, that as the match would go on, more and more players would be on yellow, which means, of course, more and more players have to be careful of not getting a second yellow and being sent off. So looks like Clay Dimmick is the one there who gets that yellow. And it's a set piece. We've seen how Charlotte used that to their advantage to get the equalizer. Yeah, Clay Dimmick just sort of turns his body, drops his shoulder in.
It's turning into a different kind of football.
Well, we keep saying it, tired legs, tired minds. This is when it all falls apart if you're not careful.
And Sheikh will ease it into the penalty area. It's headed on and in, and Charleston have a 2-1 lead. The substitute, Bashwa, scores.
We said when he came on, he's a great target man. He gives you a wonderful option, but unfortunately for Brandon Miller, who's had a wonderful season with so many good saves, he's totally misjudged that. And he's got beaten to the ball and left his goal completely empty. Golden rule as a keeper, you have to get something on it. There's an empty net, 3 blue shirts trying to get back to cover for the keeper, not able to do it. Bosher puts Charleston Battery 2-1 up. Now it's up to Charlotte Independence to get themselves back in the match.
It's the second lead of the night for Charleston. It's Bashwa's goal, the native South African. And Charlotte have 20 minutes to try and find an equalizer, which would send this game to penalty kicks.
Interesting, 2 of the 3 goals have just been set pieces, bombed into the box, and wait and see what happens. And that's the power of set pieces, and the danger in giving them away is you can get punished. Even if you're good at defending, sometimes it's difficult to just keep them out of the net set pieces. So many bodies all going in, and goalkeepers prone to errors, as we have seen there with Brandon Miller, who once again, got to give him credit for a wonderful season. 4 out of the last 7 have been clean sheets, only conceded 5 in the last 7 games. But he's made the error, and that's the error Enzo Martinez was talking about.
I think Lucas Spalla, our referee, just went over to have a word with Joe Kuzminski. He knows the situation. He knows that the goalkeeper and others are likely going to try and waste time as this thing rolls along. And I think the word that he just said was, I'm going to be watching. You need to continue to keep play moving. The worst he can do is issue a caution. Charlotte will come forward. It's Sabella, substitute, crossing it in for Kelly, and it's floated over the bar.
Slight deflection perhaps as well. Well, we said Dan Kelly would come into it once the legs around him had got tired, and he's slowly becoming more of a threat. He's the man that all Charlotte Independence fans will be looking to get this second equalizer.
It'll be an all-out blitz for the next 15 minutes plus. A chance to run for Charleston. Angelo Kelly. Working on Lacroix. Happy just to keep possession.
He just got too tired in the end there, Angelo Kelly. When I saw him in the 70th minute, he was tired already. He's given absolutely everything up and down this pitch, but in the end, they just lost control of where the ball is. But I think you're right. This is now about Charleston defending as best they can and trying to counter. And Charlotte, as time goes on, will have to throw more and more forward to get this equalizer.
Johnson has been busy tonight on the right flank.
It'd be such a pity for Brandon Miller if his error is what separates these 2 teams at the end of this match, because he has been wonderful all season. And we were talking about that quote from Enzo Martinez about how mistakes can settle these sort of matches. And I've got to be honest, and I hate to pick on goalkeepers as a keeper myself, but when you come like that and don't get the ball and it heads into an empty net, that is down to you, unfortunately.
He's been so good this year, as you said. His 1.3 goals against average per 90 this year is the best since his career season, the USL's best season that it ever saw with Rochester in 2015, where he allowed just over half a goal a game. 1 minute added on here in the first 15.
And more about Miller. He's only the second goalkeeper to post 2 outings this season with 8+ saves. He's also in the USL Team of the Week in Week 1 and Week 8. So no question he's had a wonderful season. And those 61 saves are the most in the USL. But if this result remains, unfortunately, that's how his season will end. Is coming for a cross and not getting it, and that is one of the hard sides of being a goalkeeper, having to deal with moments like that.
Dangerous on the counter-attack. Charleston looking to seal it. It's Zaracostas, and it's blocked by Armin. It's still in play. Play never stopped. Boschwa scuffed it, and that should do it for the first period, unless Martinez can get it forward quickly. He's going to let this go. Martinez.
Look at the gaps now opening up the space. It's end-to-end stuff there, and there are legs. I mean, there are players there. Look at their body language. They are absolutely finished. And there's still 15 more minutes to go.
The next 15 minutes, buckle up, Charleston Battery fans. They'll be the nerviest of your season. And we're going to show you one more time how we got to this point. 2-1 is our score after the first extra period. 3 minutes into the game, Niku Daly scores the goal to put Charleston ahead. They held that lead for the better part of an hour.
They did. Sachero doing so well there and trying to claim a penalty, and Niku Daly quick to pounce on that. Then the set piece gets knocked in. Kuzminski makes a good save, but Hugh Roberts is first there to pounce on that ball. Have a look at the goalkeeper. Gets his left foot to it. Roberts, and that was a fair equalizer, because no question Charlotte had been dominating, and in that moment there, Brandon Miller comes, doesn't get it, and doesn't call in time. If you call early, somebody will try and cover you, but he must have come late. Nobody could get on the goal line, and that's the goal that separates them. That's the man who got it there, Arthur Boschwa. Good target man, brave header, and now it's up to that team in blue to bounce back a second time.
Gary Bailey, Spencer Siegel with you tonight. The final match in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals between Charleston and Charlotte. Winner to face Tampa Bay next weekend. Meanwhile, in the West, 3 of the 4 matchups underway. Reno with a 3-1 lead on Los Dos in the second half.
He went right to the bench.
San Antonio, New Mexico, still scoreless an hour in. And El Paso and Tulsa are headed to halftime. They're about a minute away. It's 1-1. Phoenix and Sacramento kicking off in about 10 minutes time, as you see Joel Johnson on the sideline.
Yeah, Cheney coming in for him, so it's the big man as expected, a good target man. We've seen what Boschwa did on the one side. Now we can see what Cheney can do on the other. And I guess it'll become more what they call Route 1 as time runs out for Charlotte. They start bombing that high ball into Cheney, and just to see what he can do in goals there. In goals, sorry, against the goals to try and score. And he is a natural goal scorer, Christian Cheney. Great track record.
Two teams will switch sides. All 3 goals tonight have been scored in the goal to your right-hand side.
Battery corner kick to be taken by number 6, Crawford.
Kyle Nelson will head into the game for Stavros Zaracostas. Nelson, number 3 in white.
Correction overturned. Independence kick.
Time ticking away on Charlotte's season.
It certainly is, and they're going to take more and more risks, aren't they, as time goes on, which opens up the door for Charleston Battery to counter-attack and get another goal and kill this match off. So it really is hanging on a knife edge at the moment.
Gebhard keeps it from Gebhard. That took a deflection. It is a goal kick.
Once again, you look to those subs. If you're Charlotte, you look to Christian Cheney, who's fresh. You look to Derek Gebhard, who's fresh. You look to Valentin Sabella, who's fresh. 3 of them that have the ability to run themselves in the ground this last, where are we, sort of 14 minutes or so, 13 minutes. Those are the ones who've got to be doing it because the others are hanging on. Their legs have gone. It's the substitutes who really hold the key here, I would think, for Charlotte.
Still have 2 substitutes available if they'd like. Martinez hasn't lost his legs. He's found Dane Kelly. Dane Kelly saved by Kuzminski. Sabella can't flick it on. And it's a huge save for the Charleston keeper.
Good save from Kuzminski. Just wonder if Dane Kelly could have done more. It was at the goalkeeper. He gets his body behind it, but could he have got it in the corner? Expect more from Dane Kelly. He's that good a striker. But again, got to take into account that his legs are really tired in extra time. But have a look at it again if this is it. There, inside, does a great bit of skill. Left foot doesn't really work the keeper that hard, does he?
Sabella came in with the second chance too. Not sure what part of that, what part of his body it flicked off of. Eto dragged down. That'll certainly be yellow for Bashwa.
Another one of those professional fouls. So slow everything down. You can work the clock down. Now he mustn't obviously get a second yellow. The next professional foul has to be from someone who hasn't got a yellow, but that's basically got to be on Charleston's mind right now. Just over 10 minutes to slow everything down, work the clock down, and walk away with a 2-1 victory.
He played a 1:20 on the clock. Loose from Martinez. That'll be the tired legs that you talked about, Gary. Just try and deaden the ball, leaving Charlotte susceptible. Marini to the middle. It's Bashwa. He'll tee it up, and Miller is there.
Ooh, lucky there for Charlotte. That was a chance to have put this match to bed, but Bosch was straight at the goalkeeper and now goes down the other end of the pitch.
Charlotte desperate for a goal. Looked like it took a deflection. It should be a corner for the Independents. Sabella out there to take it. Another set-piece chance for the Independents. Sabella looking back post. Archer gets to it first. Martinez. Back post. He's got a man. Flicked past Kelly. Kelly will try it. That's deflected right into Kuzminski. I believe that's a claim of handball.
A lot of shouting going on, and Kuzminski's on the ground not moving with the ball, so it's as if a whistle has gone.
It was far away from the assistant referee, so it's pretty tough for him to see that on the far side of the pitch. We have the benefit of taking another look, and Charleston, who were the beneficiary of one non-VAR call, shall we say. Let's take a look at this one.
Looks like it was hit in the face here of Kelly, and he goes down as if it's hit him in the face, but could he have hit him in the arm?
Stepping up the pitch.
Certainly looked close.
Again, as a referee, you can't guess. You have to either see something. If you don't see it, you can't give it. So without the aid of VAR, the referee, Lucas Spala, has a split second to see it. And now we have seen it and in slow-mo and still not sure. So if you're not sure, you can't give it. As frustrating as it is for Charlotte, referees can only give something that they're absolutely certain about. And Kelly went down as if it hit him in the face. Now, is he play acting? Did it hit him in the arm and then he claims hit him in the face? Either way, penalty not given. And that's going to frustrate the Charlotte Independence players.
How many times have we seen and heard about having the arms in an unnatural position?
But if you haven't got VAR to go to, it's easier with VAR. You stop and have a look, and you get close-ups and all sorts. But without VAR, the referee has one split second to see what happens, make a decision. Tough on the ref, but if they don't see it, they can't give it.
Eight minutes plus stoppage time for Charleston to see this out. They fought so hard this year. Joe Kuzminski came in halfway through, revitalized this Charleston team. Nemhard forward.
It's good pressing there from Charleston Battery, trying to stop Charlotte from getting out of their own half. Look at those white and mustard shirts putting so much effort in there.
Cheney asserts his dominance. He's got the run of Sabella, looking for Kelly. Too many white jerseys surrounding him.
I'm just looking at this Charleston Battery side. They're a good team. They really are. And they've got so many good goal scorers that if they win this, and it still is a big if, they've got a chance against Tampa Bay, as they showed in the last match when they beat Tampa in Tampa. So they won't be scared to go there. But first job, just 5 minutes to make sure that they can walk away as victors here tonight.
See Guido Vadala come in for Charlotte. Try and provide one more surge. Beautiful touch from Gebhard. Nemhard got to it though. You mentioned it earlier, Gary. Charleston is the only team to beat Tampa Bay at Al Lang Stadium this season.
I think they'll feel confident they can go back and do it again, because they really played well against Tampa.
Vadala, the Argentinian, started at Boca Juniors Academy. On the ball right away. Martinez's cross, chested down by Cheney. He had a lot to do.
Yeah, with the height of Cheney, they can also whip balls in there. Maybe that's an option they should be looking at. Try and get something high for the big man to get on the end of. It certainly worked well for Charleston Battery, didn't it, when they scored their goal from that set piece to put them 2-1 up.
Lewis can't get to it. All systems go for Charlotte.
You can almost hear the clock ticking, can't you? 5 minutes for Charleston Battery. Their players will be thinking, keep working, keep running, keep closing down. Don't let them settle on the ball. Look at that. Angelo Kelly still, after all the running he's done, he's still chasing and hunting in that midfield. Look at him running. Brilliant.
Armin, who's been outstanding on the left wing. He'll service one in towards Cheney. He could only get his head to it, but he couldn't direct it.
That's the right idea. As you say, the cross just a touch too long. Cheney unable to get it back, and Mike Jeffries now seeing his entire season coming to an end, and it's been such a good season, but There was going to be some broken hearts here tonight. Two teams have done well, only one can go through. It's going to take a hero for Charlotte, isn't it, to get them back in this match.
Marini finds Boschwa, who's onside. No, just off. Regardless of the result tonight, this is very likely to be the final game at the Sportsplex at Matthews before the Independents move downtown next year. They send it off with a playoff game, and they're not done yet. Gebhard into the middle. Nobody there to meet it, though.
Drama there, wasn't there, in the box? What could happen for Charlotte? And in the end, it's a free kick for Charleston Battery, and they'll slow everything down here. Just wonder if they couldn't have done a little bit more with that. Charlotte just didn't quite work out for them. They are fighting right to the end. Sabella giving away the free kick and getting the yellow card. I don't think he's too worried about the yellow card. Let's have a look at it again. Ball was bobbling around there. We didn't see the earlier part where they had the opportunity in the box. There wasn't much. I'm not even sure that's a yellow card, but either way, just over 2 minutes left.
Should this result hold, Charleston would be set up for a Group H rematch with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. This season, Charleston took a 2-0 loss at Tampa Bay. They then beat them on their home ground at Patriots Point at the end of August. Barala. Martinez. Gebhard can't get to it. More precious time ticks.
I'm just wondering again, you've got Christian Cheney on the pitch. He's big, he's strong. Surely you want to be aiming that high ball at him, get it wide and whip it into his head. And we saw exactly what Arthur Boschwa could do when he scored what is turning out to be the winning goal. I just think sometimes when the clock is ticking, the basic football, the simple up and under into the box, is often the best way to play.
Boschwa is released if he stayed onside. He chases after it. The flag stays down. Boschwa for Lewis. Give Charlotte credit. As soon as they get the ball back, they've been able to muster an attack. Here they come again. Their season on the line. Kelly uses what little juice he has left in the legs to win a throw.
It's good defending again, Charleston. They made it so difficult for Charlotte, and here they are in the dying moments, getting the tackles in. A couple more tackles, and they'll be through to the next round.
Roberts will try the long throw. Looking for a handball, and it was that of Charlotte. That will take us into the additional time of 2 minutes that separate Charleston from the Eastern Conference semifinals. They beat Tampa Bay 3 times this season, including last weekend.
And they can do it again, no doubt about that. They're a very good side, Charleston Battery, and Mike Anhouse has done a wonderful job yet again. And if you had to really push me, I think they just got slightly more about them than Charlotte have. And they've shown it here today, just with that ability to score that extra goal. And that poor man there is going to kick the ball right now. He's going to probably be blamed for this, and he shouldn't be, because he's had a wonderful season. But his missing that cross has turned out to be the difference between the two teams so far.
You can see just how tired everybody is. There's a minute left for Charlotte tonight. You have to be pleased if you're a Charlotte fan with the fight that they put forth this season. They had an outstanding year. Started with no wins in their first 5 games, and they finished with 5 wins in their final 7 to win the group, get themselves their first franchise home playoff game. Found the equalizing goal in the second half. They have one more chance. Dimmick off of the deflection. It's headed away and it's out for a corner kick.
Good defending again from Charleston. Everybody doing the job they have to do right up until the last moments here.
You would think Brandon Miller will come up for this as well. Indeed he has.
It's a chance for him to try and make up for his error.
Armin's final service. Punched by Kuzminski. Cleared by Lewis. We're past the allotted 2 minutes. Martinez is fouled, and yet again, we'll see another set piece.
Good punch from Joe Kuzminski. Give him credit. He's done what Brandon Miller wasn't able to do.
Sent in another
And
punch
again.
from Kuzminski. Armin's shot just over the bar. How close was that? It's the final whistle, and Charleston win the war. They advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals after extra time. Charleston 2, Charlotte 1.
Yeah, a couple of angry players there and upset, no doubt. But Charlotte feel that it's been a really, really tough day for them to lose this, but it'll all settle down. And horrible to get knocked out for Charlotte. Wonderful for Charleston. Badgery had a great game, and once all the players all settle down, then they'll shake hands. It really has been a titanic struggle. And Hugh Roberts there, congrats to him for getting the goal.
Yeah, he's our Great Clips man of the match for Charlotte tonight. He scored the equalizing goal in the 64th minute. And we also will get you our save of the game presented by Pepsi. Brandon Miller, all accounts tonight, he was great. This was a big save that at the time could have made it 3-1. And he keeps it within striking distance for Charlotte. You know he'd like to have back the ultimate winning goal. But like you said, Gary, somebody had to lose tonight.
Yeah. And somebody was likely to make a mistake, and we quoted Enzo Martinez from the very beginning to say it's a night where you don't want to be the one making the mistake, and in the end it was Brandon Miller coming up for a cross, doesn't get there. Arthur Boschua does, scores the winning goal, and it's a horrible way for the match to be remembered because there was so much else that was fantastic. Great effort by Charlotte, but it's Charleston who go through, and I think overall they deserve it, and they've got every chance against Tampa.
Well, when we come back, full-time stats, full-time highlights, we'll wrap this one up from the Sportsplex at Matthews and say goodbye to this complex. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I love Chick-fil-A nuggets because the flavor is unparalleled. As soon as you bite into them, you're in a happy place. The seasoning is perfect.
Hey, I'm Giovanni, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A nuggets is that they're perfectly breaded. There's just that right amount of crisp. I don't know what they're doing in the kitchen, but it's pure magic.
Spencer Siegel, Gary Bailey with you to wrap this one up. I'd like to thank Novant Health as our presenting sponsor tonight, the official healthcare provider of the Charlotte Independents, for presenting tonight's match. And as we take a look at the highlights from this one, Gary Bailey first, the early goal from Niku Daly, it was 1-0.
Yeah, Zico Lewis here with a beautiful ball in. Sachero does great. Gets brought down. As the ball rolls loose, the quickest to react is Niku Daly. Back of the net, 3rd minute, and they're up and running at Charleston Battery.
But Charlotte would come back. Hugh Roberts scores his first goal of the season, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah, scramble in the box there. Kuzminski actually makes the save, and then Hugh Roberts pounces on it, and then the other goalkeeper, Brandon Miller, comes, doesn't get it, doesn't let his defenders know that they have to cover him in time. And that, unfortunately, is going to be what everyone remembers as the winning goal.
That is the winner. Our full-time stats presented by Novant Health. Both teams came hard and fast tonight. Ultimately, the 2-1 win for Charleston. But I would say that if we could advance both teams, we would have.
Yeah, it was very close. There wasn't much to choose between them. In the end, I think Charleston had a little bit more in attack. We didn't see much of Dane Kelly for Charlotte, and Charleston had a whole bunch of strikers, all who could pitch in. And the one that pitched in most, of course, Arthur Boschro with that winning goal. So congrats, Charleston. Have a real chance against Tampa. Unlucky. Charlotte Independents, their 3rd time they've gone to the playoffs and their 3rd loss. It just isn't working out for Charlotte.
Yes, and an updated look at the bracket for you. We'll get that to you in just a moment. But for Charleston, their next task is Tampa Bay. Here you go. It's Charleston and Tampa Bay. That's a Group H rematch. Those two teams played 4 times. Charleston won 3 of them. On the other side, St. Louis continue their miracle run. They've got a tough test, though. It's a Group E rematch, Lou City and St. Louis.
Yeah, and you have to feel sorry for those that got knocked. Pittsburgh got knocked out. They had a wonderful season. Hartford got knocked out. They finished top of their group. They were brilliant. We've just seen Charlotte get knocked out. They finished top of their group. And Birmingham Legion were wonderful as well. So it's a heartbreaking time of the season, but for those who go through, congrats. Can't wait to see those conference semifinals.
And tonight, you've still got 4 West Coast matchups. Reno looking to advance. They're up 4-1 with 10 minutes to go on Los Dos. That is just about done and dusted. San Antonio, New Mexico, 82nd minute. It's 0-0. Get over there on ESPN+. El Paso and Tulsa, 1-1 started the second half. Get over there. And 10 minutes in, Phoenix and Sacramento, nils, just underway. A lot more to happen tonight. And these matchups on your screen will be happening next week. Gary Bailey, a pleasure all season. A great game tonight, and we'll be looking for you next year in 2021.
Thank you, Spence. Always great working with you too, and what a fantastic game we've had tonight.
For our entire crew, our double producers tonight, because one had to get to another game, we thank you tonight for joining us with the USL Championship, and we say goodnight to the Sportsplex at Matthews. 2-1 Charleston. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.